those basic movements from Adam to Israel as corporate Adam to Jesus as true Adam, doing what the first Adam and Israel as corporate Adam should have done. And Ben's book that you interviewed him on, what's
it
the
was
title
tremendous.
there? What's the title of your book, Ben?
From Adam and Israel to the Church.
Yeah.
Yes. Right
It's
there
a nice
in the back.
summary of all that we have in our story retold. And one thing we haven't mentioned yet, I think that we should, is that another way that the old is related to the new that we talk about, especially in the introduction to the book, and then we develop it later, is this already and not yet eschatology, that the end times have begun, but they're not completed. And when you go to the Old Testament, it's very interesting. If you do a word study of the phrase "in the latter days," and similar phrases and synonymous phrases, what you find is there's no inaugurated eschatology. It's all prophesying about the future. And then the New Testament takes those same phrases and will say something like Acts 2:17, in the latter days God has poured forth his Spirit. Or in 1 Corinthians 10, the consummation, the end of the ages has come upon us. Or 1 John 2:18, it is the last hour, and so on. And so you have this amazing movement. And Voss points this out. He alerted me to this long time ago in a little bitty chapter in his book, Pauline Eschatology, where he summarizes this. It's beautiful. But that's very crucial. And what's very interesting is in the Old Testament, sometimes it looks like those Old Testament prophecies earlier are being fulfilled later. For example, prophecies of the temple. So when the temple is torn down, it's prophesied it'll be rebuilt. They come back after exile, it begins to get rebuilt. But it's so pathetic that the people remembering the first temple cry. And so it dissipates. Finally, 70 AD, it's destroyed. So it looks like there's fulfillment, but there's not. True fulfillment is when a fulfillment begins and it cannot be reversed. That's true fulfillment. And so that's why when Christ comes, what he inaugurates, even though it's not consummated, what he inaugurates is a permanent beginning that will therefore surely be completed. That's why, for example, and this is a very subordinate point on soteriology, that's why if we've begun to be regenerated, that regeneration, which is resurrection life, will be completed. That's why we believe in the perseverance of the saints.
Yeah, Philippians 1:6.
Of the saints, because of eschatology, it cannot be reversed. People need to learn their eschatology, then they will become Calvinists.
I'm with you. And
Camden, look on page, if you have the book in front of you, look on page 14 and on page 17. So one of the difficulties in writing a book like this, right? Yeah, the very nice graphics that IVP did, and then on page 17 as well. We tried to do these inaugurated eschatology graphics, and Greg and I went around and around. And I bet you I emailed them 70 to 100 times just on those things, just going back and forth with the designers to make sure we get the stuff right and the right labels. And there's a reason why there are not many, I don't know if you've thought about this, but there are not many graphics depicting inaugurated eschatology well. And it's because it's hard to do. Well, we really tried to do it. So we have it on page 14 and on page 17, and then we do it really throughout the book and apply the different subjects as we encounter them. And we keep going back to this paradigm. And I think it's a really unique thing about the volume that we're trying to graphically demonstrate what's taking place in the New Testament and even today.
Yeah, I was impressed when I saw those graphics and how well they're done, but also, conveying something that's rather difficult to convey. But so many of us, I'm not really exclusively a graphical learner, other people are, but it's so helpful, especially in the context of a classroom, for people to see this. And you can see these kinds of things when they finally get it through a visual, how their eyes light up and it clicks.
Right. Like to just go ahead.
Graphics are hard to do. I don't know how many doctoral dissertations I've looked at that even by my students or by as an external reader, and they try to do a graphic, and I can never understand it.
Yeah. Right.
Because it's in the guy's mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I just can't understand it. And so these were very, very hard. I hope I understand them now. I think I do.
But like, for example, on in page 17, we show how the Old Testament views eschatology. Basically, it's the bad stuff comes first, the stuff in the red. So you have tribulation, false teaching, suffering, and then you have new creation. Then you have kingdom, which then eventually culminates in the new, we call it the new eternal cosmos there. But what happens in the New Testament, Jesus says, I'm telling you a mystery. And in this particular text, he's talking here about the mystery of the kingdom, how you can have the establishment of the eternal kingdom and tribulation overlapping. The two ages are now, the new and the old are now overlapping. And it was difficult. I mean, it was difficult for the disciples to really grasp this, as it is. In fact, it's not a coincidence that almost every New Testament text, every New Testament book keeps coming back to this paradigm. The new is here and the old is here. The new is here and false teaching. They keep rotating around these two ideas because I think it's just hard for people to grasp that reality.
I mean, how many people really believe in the church, including Reformed Christians, that the Great Tribulation has begun? I think most, even Reformed Christians, think that is ahead of us. The New Testament writers believe the Great Tribulation had begun. 1 John 2:18, my little children, it is the last hour. And I tell you that you have heard that Antichrist is coming. I tell you, many Antichrists have already come. From this, we know it is the last hour. Well, that's saying that the Antichrist is here. It goes on in the following context. It talks about the Antichrist who is here. So unbelievable. If the Antichrist is here, then the Great Tribulation has begun, but he's here in mystery form. He's not here incarnately. He is here in his spirit. So there's a mirror image. You have Christ, who produces his spirit throughout the church age. With the Antichrist, he comes at the end of the age. He's incarnate, but sends his spirit back into the age. It pervades the present age.